Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Francis. Today I'm going to talk to you about comprehension, what comprehension is, and how you can support your students at home with comprehension. First of all, comprehension is the ability to understand and think about the text as it is read. It's a very complex way to think about the text. Okay, we want to make sure that students are able to make the connections about what they already know about the text and what they have read to make those connections. Like I said, it's the complex ability to think about the text. Eventually, students are expected to comprehend specific lessons or specific things from the text in order to learn new information. Comprehension really is the critical thinking part of reading. For some students, comprehension is really hard. They may not be interested in the topic, they may not have a lot of background knowledge about the topic, or they just might have a difficult time decoding that text and reading fluently. All of those things together can make it really hard for a child to comprehend. But we do have strategies and we do have skills that we can teach students to help them comprehend the text. So teachers teach a variety of things in reading. One thing they teach, or two things that they teach, are strategies and skills. So skills is the ability to comprehend the text. That's when they're looking at things like the main idea, the author's purpose and why they wrote what they wrote, the ability to identify the cause and effects relationships of things in the text, things like the story elements and point of view and fact and opinions, and all of those are the skills. Those skills help students pull out information to comprehend the text. Teachers also teach things called strategies. Strategies are really ways to help students think about the text in a deeper way. These are things like making predictions, asking questions, summarizing text, visualizing what's going on in the story. All of these things help students monitor their comprehension along the way as they are reading to make those connections. Now, I have 9 ways that you can support comprehension at home, and I will attach this document below so that you can go and check all of it out. So the main thing that we want to talk about with comprehension is how it is an ongoing thing. So comprehension really begins before the book has even been opened. So before reading is crucial. We want students to look at the cover, look at the title, go on a picture walk. We want them to think about what they already know about the text. This is going to be really important for them to make those connections as they read the book. During reading is when we want students to be able to stop along the way to think about what they read to make those connections. It's okay to ask questions and to make predictions. We want them to make the connections about the characters and the events going on in the story. And then after reading, that's when we can ask the questions that we typically see with a multiple choice quiz or test. Things like, was your prediction correct? What happened first? Can you draw a picture and write about the story to show what you learned? Those would be examples of after reading activities. Now, I want to talk about making connections for a minute, okay? So there are 4 different types of connections that students can make when reading. The first one we call a text to self. That's when they read the book and they're able to make a connection about them and the character or them and something that they have read. We also have text to text. That's when they take the book and what they read and they can connect it to another book they already read. This is why we love having students read books in the same series or by the same author, because they're able to make those connections. The third one is called a text to world. That is when you're able to take what you've read and connect it to something going on in your own world. The fourth one is called text to media. That's when you take what you've read and you're able to connect it to what you've seen on TV or on a phone or in a song. So that's great for when you're doing compare and contrast with a book and maybe the movie like Charlotte's Web. All right, another one that teachers use, especially in the upper grades, is a strategy called somebody wanted but so. So for this, you would just take a piece of paper. I have my whiteboard here. And this is a summarizing strategy. So you would write with somebody, like the character, what they wanted, but then what happened? What was the problem? So how did they try to solve the problem? And then what happened? So this is another way to do like a beginning, middle, and end, but it's a little bit more complicated and it's great for our older students. Another easy way to comprehend text at the very end or even during the story is by answering the very simple who, what, when, where, how, why questions. Who are the characters? What is happening? When is the story taking place? Why is this happening? And how do you know the character felt this way? You can start questions with any of those 5 stems, and that's a great place to start to ask questions as you're going through the story or even at the end. The next one is called a making prediction, and that's just having your students think about what's going to happen next in the story. So we have our students oftentimes write their predictions on a sticky note, read a couple pages, and then go back to compare what they read with a sticky note. Did their prediction happen? And if not, can you change your prediction for how you think the rest of the story might take place? The next one the next one is retelling, and retelling is just retelling the story, thinking about the beginning, middle, and end of the story. Okay, and the last one we have is a KWL chart. And a KWL chart is very simple, just KWL. And this is great to use if you are doing nonfiction text. So I would do this a lot with my kids when we were talking about topics in science or social studies. So you start with what you already know. So let's say we're talking about Mars. What do you already know about Mars? You know it's a planet, you know the color, you know where it is in the solar system. But what do you want to know about Mars? So we want the students to think about a question that they want to find out while they read. Then after they've read, we want them to come to this L. What have you learned? Did you learn anything to go with your question? So this would be the after reading activity. So those are 9 things that you can do at home to help comprehension. I know it was a lot. Feel free to reach out at any time with questions. I will post the resource with all of these below. You can hear the dogs. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.